Let's talk about hair. It's not your average conversation. It's not your average conversation about hair. Happy Monday and welcome to Main Talk Monday. How you doing? I answer.
Hey, Shani. Happy
Listen,
Monday.
a happy Monday. We made it through another Monday. COVID. How
Yeah.
about that? We made it through another Monday. COVID free.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I
Listen,
don't know what you're talking about.
listen, the world is going crazy. And how about tomorrow is the day, the final day. So I know you already
Yeah.
voted, right?
Yes. I went crazy on the third day and stood in the line for 3 hours. And I should have waited because, people who waited, the line wasn't long the next week, but I was ready to get over with. But, I'm a bit nervous about tomorrow because people are crazy and I'm crazy. And I do know some people who didn't go vote, but they better lose my number and my Instagram and my Facebook because I'm out. Okay. Because if you
Listen, I
didn't go
don't know
vote, you don't want help. If you didn't go
exactly.
vote, you don't want help. So don't ask
Exactly.
me for any, right? So get out and vote. And I was reading something on Instagram was saying, we just don't need to be worried about this vote, this federal vote for the president. This is just to open the door. We now need to go inside the door and make sure that we vote locally, right? So we can change the demographics of who is sending our kids to jail or who's deciding on whether or not we get business loans or business licenses and housing and those things. So it starts here, but we just have to make sure that we stay involved and engaged in voting, period, and all things that we able to vote on. So yeah.
I guess 4 years ago when we were at this stage, I went to bed because I couldn't even deal with what the results were going to be. And I was just so shocked at 3 o'clock in the morning when,
Yeah.
my husband woke me up to tell me what happened. So I think I'm going to do the same thing again tomorrow. I'm just going to go to sleep and then just wake up and, and deal with the results, hoping that the results will give us a change because we really, really need a change in this country. I joked and said that we made it another week COVID free, but we didn't make it another week storm free. Some people have, lost their homes, or a lot of people were out of power. Speaking with people who lost food. So a lot of people are going through a lot of different issues nowadays, whether it be the storm or COVID.
Yeah, my family, of course, is down on the coast in Biloxi and Gulfport. And so they literally just got lights on yesterday, most of them.
Wow.
Yesterday. So they've been without lights for a while. And that's the reason I don't live near the coast in that way, because I don't want to have anxiety about storms coming. And they're coming more frequently than before because global warming is real, right?
And global warming is another reason for us to vote, right? See, we always think that things are not happening. But before we go on to talk about our subject tonight, and the reason why I talked about the storms and talked about, COVID-19, is that all of that affects our money. And many of us, as we look at the television, I guess the television numbers of COVID ratings and hospital beds filling up, all of that affects our bottom line. But we have a little COVID fatigue, as they call it, on television, and people are spending money and trying to find some kind of way to feel good during the pandemic. So
this challenging time.
We like getting boxes at the door. I think I saw a mat that said that Amazon leave the boxes here, as a mat. And so we're just trying to find some kind of way to feel good about ourselves and do a little bit of retail therapy, which I guess is a normal part of life when you're out and about and you can just go out normally. We used to just go, what do we call it? Window shopping? Go window shopping.
Window shopping. Yeah.
Right. Even if we're not buying anything, we're walking through the malls, just looking. But more importantly, through the quarantine and through the pandemic, one of the biggest things that have given us some solace is, from a beauty standpoint, we've been able to at least leave and go to the salon to get our hair done.
Yeah.
I know many of us, and I think, were you one of them that was ready?
I am one of them. Yeah, definitely. And I'm happy because, I already told you my ancestors were kings and queens of Africa. And I like I like being catered to. I like having my hair done. I like to just sit back because it's deep in my DNA, and I feel like, oh, like, so yeah, I'm definitely one of those persons that like to go and get pampered and always. And I know we can't do it in most things, but I am happy that the salon that I go to, you know,
And what salon is that? But no,
it's COVID certified.
listen, but speaking of that, before we bring on, I guess, speaking of that, but how do you really feel? I know it's our salon, but really, like, how do you really feel? Because, you know, it's big to have to come out of your house and go into a place. But how does the salon really make you feel? Do you feel like it's overcrowded? Sometimes I can kind of feel like that we get a little laxed and it can be a lot of people in there. But for the most part, I feel like we kind of doing a good job, kind of trying to manage the flow.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like when I get there, I call and I don't go in, and I call and they call me when they're ready for me to go in. And I remember one time I had been sitting out, it was a bit warm out, and I went in and my temperature was high, and it was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, hold, sit down, let's chill for a minute. Your temperature was high, like you can't proceed on, right? So although I was like, no, why is my temperature high? But I had been sitting out in the sun, right? And so, I sit down, the temperature cool, and she retook my temperature, and then I proceed, forward. But I feel very comfortable because everyone, I mean, not just saying it because it's Nutrients, but because if I didn't, I wouldn't go. Like, but you have the plexiglass is up, you have the social distancing inside, and everyone's wearing their mask, and so for me, I feel comfortable, and I guess so far, so knock on wood. Okay, yeah.
Right, but it doesn't give you a sense of kind of like a little sense of normalcy that you can kind of come and
It doesn't.
Fellowship.
Only a little bit, because of that those masks drive me bananas. So
right,
only I be every now and again I be feeling like I can't breathe. I have it on for so long, so just like a little bit. But I guess anything is better than nothing. And I got Nia out the house. We went to a high school game, and it was so refreshing. And because we were outside in the stadium, and everyone there had on their masks, they were social distancing. So we just felt really good. Now we really felt like some normalcy because she's just in the house,
right,
on virtual school, right? So
right.
to just get out and get her to the high school game, it was it was really nice. So I'm just hoping by February the 8th that we over.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Here we go.
I'm not having a drive-by
party. I can't have 10 more days.
Party.
I can't have 10 more days of my birthday because you got.
Oh yeah. But you wait. Excuse me, my bad. You don't like the countdown. Okay, my bad. But this year you want to count down. Okay, 10 more days to your birthday.
Listen, and I hate the countdown, but I think COVID has made me count down, and just to do something different.
Which the countdown is different. Which is be careful.
Right. I mean, and listen, which is big for me, but which is why I wanted to have this conversation and bring on our guests, because I think I have been one. I noticed that I like to get boxes that come. The boxes come to my office, and it's like, did I order this? What did I get? Oh yeah, I find myself looking at the sponsor ads that are coming through the feed and just like clicking and like, oh, well, let me buy that. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, and that a lot of people are feeling this, or maybe feeling a void of not being able to be out by spending, whether it's going to the salon, spending their extra money, or just clicking and shopping on Amazon or wherever you're shopping at, just to kind of feel good about getting this package at the door. So what I wanted to do is to bring someone on to talk to us about spending during the pandemic, because we don't want to come out of this and we're in debt. Our credit card bills are up, and we are buying all these things and we're not going anywhere, because that's the crazy thing about it. I'm buying dresses and jumpsuits and pants, and I'm just like, and I'm not going anywhere because normally
anywhere to wear it.
I
literally just said, because I really just shop twice a year at homecoming, my birthday. So I just say, and I normally buy boots at homecoming. I was like, oh, I didn't buy the boots because we didn't have homecoming. Feeling the need to buy boots around this time of year because I normally buy boots for homecoming, right? So yeah, so no, absolutely. We absolutely need to talk about it, because a lot of people have lost their jobs.
Yes.
So you lost your jobs, you have anxiety from that. And sometimes we mix that fear and anxiety with we want to shop, to make ourselves feel good, that what we really don't need. So we definitely need our next guest. So
Okay, so without further ado, let us bring in, she calls herself the Money Mender. She has spent years helping people get their money in shape. I would call her the Sergeant of Arms of money, but right now I guess we'll just call her the Money Mender, Carol Hunter Lawson. Welcome to Main Talk.
Hey, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
hi,
Hello, beautiful ladies.
a
Yes.
reflection of you.
Yes. Well, Carol, thank you for coming to Main Talk. We know that you have spent, how many years have you been on this journey or this mission of helping women and men and families overcome or obtain financial independence? How many years?
33 years this year,
Wow.
over 3 decades.
That's wonderful.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, your stuff, okay? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So
33 years, I better, right?
Yeah, right.
So I know that you just had a conference these past couple of days, and your whole goal is to make sure that in the midst of a pandemic, if we have another emergency, that we don't have to rely on a stimulus check, because I know during that time since I talked to you, you said that we need to start saving and putting up and having our own stimulus. But now, as it relates to, and I know this only because you come to the salon as well, that you
Yes.
travel from Chattanooga to come all the way to Atlanta to get your beauty regimen on, and you're spending money in gas and mileage, but you're budgeting for it. So let's talk about tonight. We're in a pandemic. People feel stuck in the house. They're quarantined. They feel bored, but they got this mouse in their hand and they're clicking and buying. And they love the feeling of getting boxes at their door. Talk to us so we won't be broke once this is all over. What should we be doing? Let's talk about our original spending plan, which is your baby. Let's talk about what should we do as it relates to creating a spending plan during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I totally agree that you should still be beautiful in your pajamas and your loungewear. Because there's a pandemic does not mean that you have to look like Miss Seeley from The Color Purple, because we have to make sure we keep the main.
Don't get in trouble for saying that, just FYI, I'm just saying.
I'm just so here's the thing. The spending plan is your staple. If you don't have the spending plan in order, then your finances are going to be out of order, because that's your boundary. That sets the guideline, the tone, the basis for how much you can spend. That's why I don't like to use the word budget, because anytime we use the word budget, it's psychology. It makes us think we can't. It seems like it's rigid. Like, well, I can't because, or Frank said I can't, or Betty said I can't. No, you still can. So we have a spending plan. The whole premise behind a spending plan is to plan how you are going to spend. And inside of your spending plan, there should be a line item for beauty, for miscellaneous, for if you eat out, whatever you're going to do. And then that's your metric. So if you are budgeting, for lack of better terms, $200 for your beauty, makeup, whatever, then order what you want to order. Go to Neuritress.com and order your product so that you can keep your hair healthy. So that after the pandemic, you won't be talking to Deshaun about ball issues.
Yes.
We're trying to
then it's gonna cost more.
Hair. So don't go to the drugstore, the pharmacy, and buy your color. Do what you need to do in getting your products in your hand so that your hair can stay healthy if you cannot get into the salon. But here's the thing, don't take the mortgage money trying to spend on those luxuries that you need to make sure you take care of. Every dollar has an assignment. You need to make sure you assign it.
But Minister Hunter, speaking of, I know you got, speaking of mortgage, during this time, a lot of mortgage companies have allowed customers to forbear or, postpone their mortgage, whether they had the money or not. A lot of people got stimulus money, didn't pay their rent. they use this time to take that 3 months, that 90 days, that 120 days forbearance to go shopping. What are we looking at? Because although they're wrapping it around at the end, how is this really affecting us in the end? Because I know a lot of people that have done that, whether it be with their cars or whether, and they didn't even necessarily need it. They're working, but they just wanted to take that and have that extra money, not to pay off bills, but to have a little retail therapy. What are we doing to ourselves by doing that?
I think that's a big mistake. If you were able to continue to pay your mortgage or car payment or whatever, even with your school loan, even though federal loans were put into a type of forbearance, this was an excellent time for you to continue to pay if you could, because there was no interest being assessed on what you were sending in. So it gave you the opportunity to get ahead on knocking out that school loan debt. But most people did what they do, they just stopped paying it. But as it relates particularly to your mortgage, if you voluntarily put yourself in a forbearance and you were able to pay that mortgage, most people are going to be facing a foreclosure situation once the government figures out how they're going to do all of this, because mortgage companies are not required to restructure your loan and put all those past due payments on the back of the loan and start you over. So basically they are, well, actually a lot of them started sending out demand letters. And so as soon as the moratorium is lifted, those demand letters are going to be placed in the mailbox. So if you've been in a forbearance for 4 months, you're going to have to pay the 4 months plus the current month. And if you went out and you're not carrying your favorite designer bag, or you are fly and you did have all the boxes coming to your door, you need to send your boxes back. Pack it up and send it back and say, I was just teasing, I was just playing, I just wanted to see what it felt like, looked like, because you got to pay your bills, or you and that stuff are going to be sitting outside.
Right.
I was going to ask you, I was going to go back to your spending plan. I like that you call it the spending plan and not budget, because mentally as our mind go, because ever since we had the weight loss show on, me and Mia, we said we're doing low key keto. And the reason that we say low key keto, right, is because mentally, if we start telling ourselves that we're doing keto, we're going to start feeling rebellious, like, oh, we want some starches and oh, we want some bread. So we're tricking our minds by saying low key keto. So the same with you saying the spending plan as opposed to budget, because a lot of times budget is an intimidating word, right? And people are not clear on what am I supposed to do with budget? But people are clear on spending. They're clear on, this is what I'm doing, I'm spending money. And people are clear on plan. So I like that you're calling it, that you say the spending plan, because you're saying you're planning how you're going to spend. But I also like the fact that you said, because people don't view it this way. I like that you said, if you're going to, when you're doing your spending plan, right, and you're allocating the monies, and you say, hey, I'm putting aside this $200 for my makeup, my hair, my all of these things, the beauty, and you're not saying shortchange yourself. You're saying the money that you've allocated for this area, use that, and then you're done. However you do it, right? So I like the way that you present that information, because it's not intimidating, it's received, and you can understand it better. So, just thank you for breaking it down for layman people who didn't take economics and didn't, are intimidated by accounting and numbers and all those things, because most of us are, especially in the African-American community, because most of us, because I'm public health, so most of us are really concerned in how we're going to keep the lights on. And I know people do spend, but we have a lot of, disparities when it comes to Black people. And so to even just say, how are you going to spend? It really helps in understanding the process of allocating funds into how you're going to do it.
You brought up a really important point in terms of the Black community, African-American, Negro, whatever you choose to go on your birth certificate.
Afro-descendant for me, okay.
Here's the thing. It's a reality, and the majority of the people in my community look like me. Mm-hmm. So it is important to me that I communicate in a way that my community understands, because there's a great disparity regarding financial literacy, because that's just not something that most of us that are Gen Xers and baby boomers grew up hearing in our households. And then the millennials don't want to hear it because their mindset is somewhere else. And so I believe when you feed the food to the people in a way that's palatable, then they'll respond. And so I already know in our community, don't talk to me about a budget because you're automatically going to get cut off if you start talking budget, because in our community, that's a dirty word.
Yeah.
That means something totally different from what the meaning really is. But like you said, if I'm saying spend, that's like I'm giving you permission to control your money, because from a personal expert perspective in a coaching environment, if you will, if I start talking about budgeting, the client feels like I'm trying to control their money.
Yeah.
Tell them what to do. But if I present it like, well, tell me how you're going to spend this money. Open, they're creative, they're excited, and they're even willing to cut out things that don't allow them to spend in the area where they really want to spend. So at the end of the day, it truly is psychology. It really is.
Yeah.
But Minister Hunter, do you think there is a limit? You know, one of the things that I wanted to do as far as even with a part two with this is that we know we have people that come to the salon, and salon services range from, you know, A to Z. Is there a limit that a person should put on themselves, or is there a formula? Like say at our salon, we don't charge $50 for a weave. We charge $315 for a weave. And that doesn't come with the hair. Is there a percentage? You know, because I have this thing like you get what you pay for. That's a whole nother episode. But should we look at our budget from a standpoint based on quality, based on what we can afford? You understand what I'm saying? That,
yes,
you know, I don't want to go to the $50 weave shop because my hair is only going to last for 2 weeks. But I'm going to spend the money for the $315 plus the other $150 for the hair. So I'm going to spend $400, $500 for my hair because I know it'll last 8 weeks, even though I don't really have the money. Is there some type of formula that one should be putting on themselves based on the amount of money they bring in? Like, you know, 10% should go towards rent, or 15% should go towards, you know, of your household income should go towards a car. Do we have that as it relates to personal care items?
There are, and that's a really good question. So there are some best practices with your car. Your car should be more than 5% of what your net available spending is. You know, your mortgage and your household expenses should stay between 28 and 36% of the available monies that you have. So there are those baseline best practices out there, but then here's the reality. That's really gonna vary from household to household. There really can't be a cookie cutter model for that because first of all, there's income disparity. And there are choices that people make that oftentimes that are not healthy. And so if you buy too much house, if you buy too much car, and now you want to be at Nuratress, you got to give somewhere, because before you do anything, you need to make sure you have a place to live. You need to make sure that you can eat, and you need to make sure you can drive that car so you can go to work and keep paying for the bills. And after you look at those major expenses, now you've got to take this pot of money and you've got to say, well, I know I love going to Nuratress because you get what you pay for. So, you know, because I think I'm a hairstylist, I think you should get quality hair care, and that means you're going to have to pay for it. So you cannot have the attitude, or you should not have the attitude of, when you look at their price list, oh, these prices are too high. It's kind of like when people ask the question, and I saw this somewhere, well, why does Nike charge $20 for their socks for a pack of 6? They charge $20 for the people that can afford to pay $20 for
Good point. Good point. Very good point.
So
Yeah.
if you think a pack of 6 socks for Nike dry fit, so your feet won't stink when you work out, is too much.
And so you won't have the cushion. So you don't want to have a cushion. You good with just having covering.
you go get what you think is good,
Yeah.
because when you walk into a salon setting, walk into a salon setting with the attitude of, why are you charging me $400 and whatever dollars for this weave? Okay, you want a weave. If all you have is $200, then you might have to get some twists, or, you know, some scrunches or something else, and you can't get covered. Because
you might need to do it, or you might need to do it. No, seriously, but you might need to do it at home if your budget, like you said, again, I like the terms that you use because of the population that I work with public health. And when you said that if you bought too much house or too much car, right? You didn't say if you're living above your means. You said if you bought too much. Like, you know, if you bought too much, you know, if it's too much for your income, right? Then you got to put most of your income over there in that space, right?
Mhm.
So, and then you budget, because my question was, how do you start with creating this spending plan? But you basically answered that question when you said you decide on what your spending is, right? So I guess specifically, if people wanted to, like, is there an app, or is there a software? Is there some type of, do you use Excel? What do you suggest people use to start this spending plan? Because of course, we're here to educate our audience, and we want them to, we don't want to just talk about it. We want people, there are some people who actually are gonna want to start doing this, right? So where do they start in creating this spending plan and going from there?
That's a good question, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. The tools, what tools are available for them to use? That's a good one.
There's two great apps that I always recommend to my clients. One is real simple basic, so that it won't, like, you know, make them feel intimidated. And it's just called Spending Tracker. It's real simple, real basic. If you want something a little bit more sophisticated, then there's an app that's called Mint that you can utilize to do your spending plan. Those two are very user friendly. You don't have to be super technical to figure them out, and you can just download them onto your mobile device and start the process. And then if you prefer to see old school, then you can just create a Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And just put your line items there and put your formulas in, because some people still like to handle paper and look at it, you know, the traditional way. But for those of us that are moving into the app generation, then you just want to click and point and have everything do what it do.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would want to use Spending Tracker or Mint for that.
Can you please spell Mint? Is it M-I or M-E?
M-I-N-T.
Okay, M-I-N-T.
So
what is your recommendation? What is your recommendation as we begin to close? Because I know that you are a money mender, which means you are a coach. And some people don't really think that they need a money coach. We know that we need a hair coach. We know that we need a life coach, but a money coach is not something that many of us have. Tell us why it's important to have a money coach, or when is it important for you to get a money coach?
So I believe the reason why, more than anything else, that you have a money coach is for accountability. You first and foremost need an accountability partner, especially if you have been reckless with your finances. And if your finances need to be mended, that doesn't necessarily just mean that you don't have a high credit score or you have too many creditors. That could mean that you don't have the right amount of life insurance. That could mean that the plan that you need to retire so that you're not working until you're 95 and you didn't start saving effectively fast enough, your money is broken. So you need to sit down with a money coach so that you can map out a strategy and determine what you want to do at what age. So that's the primary reason. If you want to start a business and you don't know how, and you're probably going to be your primary investor, you've got to figure out, well, how do you free up money from all these other things that you're doing so you can now begin to invest in your business? Those are reasons why you would need a money coach. And what was the other question that you asked me?
I just said, give the reasons why someone would need it, or at what point should someone start seeking out a money coach. But I think you said, okay, if you've been reckless, I don't know if you filed bankruptcy, do you wait that late, or if you're in trouble, at what point should I say, hey, I know most people, we always wait to the extreme. Like Ayanta says, you're not going to find a hair coach until your hair fall out. Then you're looking for a hair coach, right? You're not going to find a life coach until your life is out of order, right? And so the same thing with money. At what point does one seek out
they're not going to seek out if it's in order. Like, and most of us are reactive instead of proactive, right?
And some of us are deceived. We think it's in order because most people are one paycheck away from not being in order. So if you're not living at a level of financial peace that's comfortable,
Mhm.
forbid if you don't have an emergency reserve or working on one in this season, you need a money coach, because this thing is just starting to spiral out of control in terms of this economy and this economic fallout from this pandemic. We've not seen the worst of this yet. And so for people that, again, took those stimulus checks and then act responsibly and think that things are going to just, on January 1, pop back into shape, and it's not going to happen like that. And so the sooner, and especially if you're young and just starting out working, that's an ideal time for you to meet with a money coach, because society has not set you up for what you need to do while you're young. Time is your best friend with money. And the more you know when you're young, the better decision making you will make for your older years.
Well, we can go on and on as it relates to money. So I'm going to say thank you for joining us. But can you leave us with this? How much money how many months of income should we have stored up just in case the bad times come?
For emergency.
Yeah, like for emergency. What should our emergency fund look like? Just simple. What should that look like? How many months? What is it? Should it look like?
Now, I've always said you should work to have, keyword work, to have 9 to 12 months of an emergency fund, because you never know. Most people will tell you 3 to 6 months. But now that we are in pandemic mode and we're about to be shut down for a country for 9 months, I wasn't far off from that. So if your monthly expenses are $3,000, $27,000 seems like a huge amount of money to save. Can't look at it like that. You set a bar at, I'm going to say my first 1,000 buy, and then you keep building and you keep building. Because if you look at it as $27,000, that's kind of like budget. You're never going to get there mentally. But if you say, okay, I can work with 1,000. Work with 1,000, or you could look at it like this. You can set a $10,000 goal across the board and just say, I need to save $27.40 every day, some kind of way, for 365 days.
Right.
I stop eating out, whether I sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Every day I need to be able to say I saved $27.40.
Okay, yeah.
She says whether we sell something on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're gonna have to have you back to talk more, because we didn't talk anything about PPP, about small businesses, about 401k. Is it even realistic now with the job market looking crazy? What does entrepreneurs do to save money? It's so much we could talk about with money, but we thank you as the Money Mender for coming on and at least sharing some vital information that we need to survive in the midst of a pandemic, so that when we come out, we won't be broke with a bunch of boxes and clothes.
And if someone wanted to reach out to you to have you as their coach, their money coach, how can they get in contact with you?
Just send me an email, carol@themoneymender.com.
That's easy. Carol@themoneymender.com. Okay,
Yes.
very good.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so very much for joining us and providing your wisdom. We'll see you later.
All
Bye.
right.
Have a good day. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
everything that you do.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Another one down in the can. Another one.
Hey, listen, I just want to say money, 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 money. Okay.
Listen, if I play the song, Facebook gonna cut us off. You know how they do. You can't play copyright song.
I'll just sing it. Money, money, money,
That was good.
money.
Spending plan.
Yeah.
Finding tools to do that. A spending plan, and at least saving.
It's very good because it can be an intimidating topic, right? As we said, and the fact that she talks about the spending plan, like that you're spending, but what's your plan in your spending, right? When do you stop spending? Because now you're going into this holiday. Like, have you already bought all your gifts, right? Because like you said, you haven't been going out and you've been shopping, and so if anything happens, you're ready to go out, right?
I am.
What is your plan, and how are you going to get your spending plan together? And if you just start there, and then that spending tracker, like she said, you just go in and put in what you're spending. That will just help you to start somewhere. But we all have to be good stewards of our future and our kids' future, and have generational wealth. And that's the only way we start, is to be conscious of what we're spending, how we're spending, and what we're leaving for our kids, you know.
And we know that's important as the death toll rises, and so many of us, even in the African American community, don't have insurance, and so that's really, really, really big. And we know we face that every day. So it's a topic that's not like the most fun topic to have as it relates to main talk. Like, it's not like really fun, but it is so necessary. So,
and it's main talk.
and it's main talk. So we thank y'all for joining us again this Monday as we talk about hair. We'll join y'all. I don't know if it's next Monday or not. I don't know if it's e-board or not, but we'll join you next Monday as we talk every week. Or Tuesday, right? As we talk every week about hair. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Veronica, who was on there talking about, has anybody delayed their student loans? Okay, so
hey, Veronica, thank you for joining us all the time.
Yeah,
and
all
everybody
time.
else.
The rest of you guys, be safe.
Keep moving.
Right. Be safe. Thank you for joining us. And mohair. Right. Bye-bye.
Pun intended.
Pun intended, right. Make sure that y'all save it. Talk about hair. Bye-bye.
Bye.